Welcome everyone, this is Dis, and I have been getting a ton of requests for embers. People are like, how do you get embers? How do you do all this? How do you get crystals? They've been asking me how to get all of the resources of the game, pretty much, and they want to know the best ways, how I stockpile so much for my summonings and everything. So I'm going to be covering some of the most effective ways to get embers. I'll be covering all of the ways, but I'll be weighing them based on how valuable they will be, and you can make the decision for yourself whether you think it's worth it or not to pursue these various methods of getting embers. Let's start with the most reliable way of getting embers, which will probably end up being the guild shop, I would say. So you can obtain many embers from the guild shop, and you're probably only going to be able to get 100 a day unless you have them stockpiled like I do. You will be getting like 700 a week. So if you suck in the rankings, if you do whatever, we'll get to the rankings later, but if you're just an average player, you'll be able to get a lot of these regardless. You'll probably be getting like 70 soul embers worth of tickets a day. So you'll really be able to kind of get a lot from here if you're trying to really get a lot of embers. But for me, I try to save them up for now. There's other really effective ways of getting embers too. The next method of getting embers is fame and now profits ranking. Profits ranking is still fairly new. It's been around for a while, but it hasn't been around for a majority of the game. But you can get a lot of embers weekly. You'll probably get more from here than you will from the guild if you're ranking really well. Because you'll, like for me, if I'm in top 200, top 200, top 100, in either of them, like right now I'm, let's see, what am I right now? I'm 200. So I'm getting 450 from here, and I'm getting 500 from here. That's almost 1,000. So yeah, that's like just 1,000 from fame. Fame is a really big deal if you rank well. I can rank even better, but I didn't really put all that much work into it this week, so I didn't rank that well. But if you do, you can get a lot of embers from it, like just so many. It's definitely the most effective way if you have all of the units for it. The main units you're going to want are Odin, takoyaki, oh my god, cheese, rice, maybe strawberry, maybe pudding, and that's pretty much about it. And you want to level them up as high as you can. You only need 5 of them, and I believe takoyaki's like the best supervisor. I think Odin's a really good extra one, and so is rice, I believe. Those are all really good extras, and then the other ones are just kind of the best that's available right now. So if you have them, you want to level them up really high, and you want to get their restaurant skill, which is in a secondary tab. So if you're doing bad in ranking, find this area and upgrade their famous reputation, as well as their good appetite, because that's also beneficial to them. You want to get that up as high as you can as well. As far as I'm aware, chefs do not have any impact, so I just kind of have whoever. And this is my setup for staff. So I have takoyaki as my supervisor, rice, Odin, and cheese. And apparently I don't have a 4th one. I guess it's because I'm trying to minimize the bad RNG, because these 2 are the better ones. If you're really low level, you probably want to have as many as you can, because maybe it makes you go slower. I'm not really sure how it works. All my base stats are really high and stuff from other things, so I have so many people waiting to come in. Everything's just waiting for them all to be served. So if I actually keep my commissions up, then I can really get a lot of fame and I can rank high, because I pretty much have everything. But I guess my level's the only thing my restaurant level's keeping me behind a little bit. So some smaller ways to get embers are you can pick up embers from the tip shop. They very rarely show up here, and it only gives you 10, so it's just a really small bonus. You can also sometimes get them from the token shop right here. I think if you do kind of okay in Sky Showdown, you can get like 240 of them, so that would be like 240 a week or something like that. So it's, in terms of being based around the other methods, it's about like a third as good, so it's not the most optimal. And this one's obvious, the tip shop one's obviously very trash because it's about 10 to 20 a day. Maybe if you're really lucky you'll get like 30. You'd have to be playing a ton and you'd have to be lucky enough to keep getting it. Another nice method, this one's very, very free. You can just click share and share your restaurant. You don't even, like, you think you might have to go do a summon or something and share it. It's all linked, it's all the same thing. You only have to share one thing, and just clicking this share in the restaurant and then sharing your restaurant once a week will give you 150 extra as well. So that's, again, a little bit lower than some of the other methods, but that's so free. That's like the easiest thing to do ever, just to get a big boost, so I always make sure to do that. If you miss it 1 week, that's a good amount that you're losing out on. This method is actually really, really amazing. So if you have the fishing hole unlocked, the more and more you upgrade your fishing hole, the more embers you'll get. So I've probably had this running like an hour or two, and I've gotten 30 of them. So this is by far one of the best side methods to earning embers. Like, this could give me more embers than my fame ranking, which is nuts. I'd say I'd maybe get like 200 embers a day, so that could be 14,000 or something at the end of the week. That is nuts if I keep it up. And of course, my fishing hole is extremely high leveled. Thanks, Yuki. My fishing hole is very, very advanced, and yours most likely will not look like this, and you'll probably be getting maybe half as much embers, but it's still a really good method to keep up, and it doesn't cost much other than gold. Obviously, you don't want to start sinking crystals in, so you're going to be buying only the middle ones, because, I mean, come on, why would you ever buy crystal ones? It's just not worth it. There are a bunch of temporary ways to get embers too, like sometimes events will give out embers. There is one event right now, the Harvest Diary, that is sort of like a conditional thing, and the Harvest Diary will give you a lot. I did not pay for this, and I've gotten 50 embers there, I've gotten 100 embers here, I'm going to be getting 150 here, so that's a relatively small amount for the length of this event. It's like lasts about 2 weeks, and you only get like, what, it'll be like 200 something a week. That's pretty low, but it's very free because you just do your dailies, which is another method. Doing your dailies will actually reward you with crystals, but you can buy the pack if you just so happen to have the yearlies or the monthlies. I'm only mentioning this because I know a lot of people do. If you have the monthly packs, you will be, in my case I got the yearlies, you will be getting 40 embers a day, which actually ends up being quite a bit at the end of the week. That's a substantial amount. And you also get 30 crystals a day, which ends up being a substantial amount too, in a way, especially if you're doing bad on World Boss. So if you happen to have this because you're trying to use it for the various other privileges, or just the fact that you get this stuff every day for so long and you feel like it's a worthwhile purchase, if you just happen to have this, you're going to be getting a good amount from there too. If you don't, you can see the amount that you get, it's like 300 or something a week. That's very comparable to a bunch of the other methods, so we've had like 5 that give that amount per week. You can just cut this one off and it's only like 1/5 or 1/6 of whatever your total is, so it's very minimal, but it can boost you up. It's a pretty good way. There are also a few other options to mention, like for example in review, if you haven't done this yet, you can get so many free embers. That's way more than you could get in like a week. If you haven't done this, but all of your recipes are like really maxed, and you just want to grind through this, I think you might even get more from each individual recipe. I'm not sure. No, you don't get anything from these. You just get some gold and a commission voucher, which is nice. So you can get a bunch of commission vouchers too. But if you haven't done this, that's a bunch of free embers to claim right there. That's so juicy. I wish I could claim that again. There's so much. Another honorable mention, if you click on guides and you go to your food soul collection, you can grab a bunch of rewards here too. I can't see what they are because I've already gotten them, but I think some of them are embers, and especially here at the end, there's a big bunch here. If you just happen to get any of this, you can get a bunch of embers too, which is extremely nice because I feel like a lot of them are either 450 or 300. That's huge. Let's say you have tons of extra magic ink, you really don't care. You can just grab embers. If you don't care about the frames, you can just grab a bunch of free embers like all over the place for just 2 magic ink. And I don't recommend buying magic ink for that. That would be not worth it. But if you just happen to have it, you can go for it and get a big chunk here. Every once in a while, Food Fantasy has a maintenance. I don't think here's one. You get like 150 maybe once every 2-3 weeks. That's something to mention. If you are playing all the time and you claim all of these, they usually last for a few days. It looks like this one's gonna last like 4 days. So if you play about once every 4 days, you'll be getting 150 as well from update, maintenance, stuff like that. Another very conditional thing, but if you have been killing your world bosses and you haven't clicked on this new disaster handbook thing, you can, for every single boss, go to this chest, and if you've been doing a lot of damage, you get a bunch of embers, like so much. So for each one, that's like well over 1,000. Whoa, that's like 8 to 10,000 or something like that. That's ridiculous. Yeah, you'd be getting a lot from that. That's the point. So if you haven't been claiming and you do a good amount of damage, then you could get a bunch of embers. You don't even have to do that great, because I feel like some of my friends who have lower level accounts are hitting those ember marks at the very least. They might not be getting whatever the bonus after it is. I believe it's like a bunch of mirrors. You probably won't be hitting these unless you're like really good, but you'll definitely potentially at least be getting to like this first or second one, and you might be able to do it for all of the bosses, which could end up being a big deal if you haven't claimed it. The last method, and I'm so glad that I just happened to have one because these things are so rare, but you can find like 48 embers or like 32 embers or even 20 from your explorations, and oh, there's another one that's incredibly rare. So if you have really good units and all of them can meet all of the requirements like I do, I can pretty much always hit this. You're going to be getting 20 to 48 to maybe, I think it's even been like 64 or something ridiculous. But yeah, you'll be able to grab some ember. This was very lucky to have gotten 2, but yeah, you'll be able to grab some extra embers. I'd say it probably ends up being around 200 or so a week here as well. I'd like to say it could be less if you don't check every 3 hours. It'll definitely be more if you check every 3 hours. You'll probably get a bunch if you check every 3 hours. I don't check every 3. I check like once every, I don't know, 8 hours or something. So I still get a bunch. They're just not the most common thing. Like, I feel like 1 out of 4 times they're there, and then the other times it's just this, you just see this garbage. Like, I mean, this is okay, but I don't need any of this crap. Some more very, very minor and obvious mentions of where to get embers are rescue missions. You can also get crystals from here. It's a big, like, you get a big 100 chunk right here. And you can get them from hard stages. Hard stages give you more than the other stages. They give you a way better chance of getting embers than normal stages, but normal stages can also give you them. I recommend saving your stamina, but every time you do your 3 required hard stages every day, you'll get some embers. Usually you'll get like, I think maybe 2 or 3, I don't know how it works, but that's just a really, really minor amount that you'll be getting every week. And if you're participating in one of the balloon popping events where you have to spam a bunch of stages or something, just because like I won't be able to stop you from not doing it. Like if you just will not be talked out of it, you'll be getting a lot of embers from that too. So you can keep that in mind as well. Make sure that on every single stage you've claimed these. Like, look, apparently I missed this one. Oh, apparently I missed this one too. Make sure you're clicking on each one for every stage like this and checking to make sure you've claimed them all, because look, I just missed 2 somehow, even though it didn't light up. the most very, very, very conditional thing. I believe if you donate recipes, you have a very small chance of getting embers. So if you're like really penny pinching here, you can probably get some embers from that. But like, I don't know. I think the other methods are much better. So in summary, too long didn't read. In this case, didn't watch. You probably will want to focus on your restaurant as well as claiming stuff in your mail. And if you missed any big chunks of temporary embers, grab those as well. I hope that covers all of your ember-based questions. If I somehow missed anything, which I really don't think I did because I did so many honorable mentions of just temporary ways to get embers. If I missed anything, feel free to enlighten people with it in the comments because pretty much everything's in here. I doubt I missed it. And if I did, someone will tell you in the comments. So look down there if you're desperate, and I mean like beyond desperate for embers. There might be something down there. If not, hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. Goodbye.